When you think about religious freedom, you probably don't think of cheese. But in 1802, Thomas Jefferson did. That's because on New Year's Day, a giant 1,235-pound wheel of cheese rolled into D.C., a gift to the president from a church in Massachusetts. But this extraordinary dairy carried a message. This cheese was an endorsement of the separation of church and state, courtesy of charismatic Baptist minister John Leland. Leland and his Cheshire, Massachusetts church were Republicans in a largely Federalist Commonwealth, and they wanted to make a big statement of support for the newly elected Jefferson. So, naturally, they settled on a 1,200-pound cheese. Cheesemaking commenced in July of 1801, with what Leland claimed was the milk of 900 strictly Republican cows. By December, the formidable Formaggio set off for Washington, first by sled to Hudson, New York, then down the Hudson River by boat to New York City, and finally to D.C. in a wagon drawn by 6 horses. Newspapers avidly covered the cheese's journey, and the cheese was even celebrated in song. Most excellent, far-famed, and far-fetched cheese, superior far in smell, taste, weight, and size, to any ever formed 'neath foreign skies. The cheese was greeted by Jefferson himself in the open door of the White House when it arrived on New Year's Day. Leland, who had accompanied the cheese the whole way, proceeded to give an address where he praised the Bill of Rights. Among its beautiful features, said Leland, the prohibition of religious tests to prevent all hierarchy. Leland was a passionate advocate for the strict separation of church and state. The notion of a Christian commonwealth should be exploded forever, Leland later wrote. All should be equally free, Jews, Turks, pagans, and Christians. And on the very day he received the cheese, Thomas Jefferson wrote a letter to a Baptist church in Connecticut, declaring a wall of separation between church and state, a term that would become an enduring principle of American government. The cheese reportedly lasted over a year. Jefferson kept it in the East Room of the White House and would serve slices of it on important occasions, until the cheese became so rotten and maggot-infested that it had to be thrown into the Potomac. Fortunately for the U.S., the principle which the cheese stood for has lasted a bit longer. For more D.C. history, check out our Boundary Stones playlist, or visit weta.org/boundarystones.